episode 339, Hacking Early Learning.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
So we're at ISTE 2018, and we have Jessica Cabeen with us. Now, she was Minnesota Principal of the Year 2017, and she's author of Hacking Early Learning. Okay. We're hacking early learning. What are we doing to it?
Absolutely. I love to tell the story of how I wrote the book. I am a recovering assistant middle school principal turned principal of a kindergarten center of 400 5-year-olds. And so
400?
400, the happiest place in southeastern Minnesota. That's what we like to call it, Vicki. So I walked into that thinking I was fully equipped to lead at that level and went into a day with play centers and Legos and Tinker Toys. And I was like, what are we doing here? The book was really the journey, the 6-year journey of myself as a school leader, learning the key essential components for quality early learning, and then turning around and giving support and tips and tools for teachers, for pre-service educators and leaders at the university level, because there just wasn't enough practical research out there for the pre-K 3 level right now.
So there's been a lot of conversation about the over-standardization of kindergarten, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does hacking early learning actually look like? What are you hacking? What are you removing and what are you putting in?
Absolutely. We really like to say kindergarten is not the next first grade. We absolutely understand that there's academic standards that we have to reach, but we also know that we need to address the social emotional learning for students first, because if they don't know how to self-regulate, they don't know how to take turns, they don't know how to interact with each other, that academic learning isn't going to come naturally or easy. In Austin, Minnesota, we have over 24 different languages represented in our school, and we have a wide ability and levels of students coming in. And so we really have to take each child at an individual level, but we're very intentional and laser-like focused with our learning targets. One of the things we do talk a lot about when I work with teachers is we can't be Pinterest unless we have a target in mind. So what are we really trying to reach with this lesson? What component? And then you bring the fun and incorporate around it versus I saw a shiny new thing on Teacher Pay Teacher and I just want to try it. What was the intention for that learning? And so we just become very strategic in our working with students.
Well, and I also think about, we don't have kids lift weights until they get to a certain age because we know developmentally they need aerobic exercise, and that's something we can see. We wouldn't take a kindergartner and say, we want you to do a 50-pound curl. I mean, we just never do that, right?
No.
So, but why do we feel like, because play...
Yes.
Play is so important.
Absolutely.
So why do we feel like that they have to be lifting a 50-pound dumbbell when they can't do it physically? Their minds can't do some of this stuff too.
Well, and that's such a great point. And I think too, in a lot of states, when I've talked to principals, you're licensed K-12. A lot of principals were secondary teachers, and they're coming to the elementary level without that understanding of play-based learning and the developmental mindset. At our school, we have 25 minutes dedicated every day for play. And that play is free play. It's got Lego walls. We have Spheros. We have Barbie dolls. We have a lot of different tools. We have pictures on the walls that also represent the students that we're serving in our classrooms so they can see what it would look like to be them as adults. But none of that I didn't understand any of that coming in from a secondary level. I really had to read and learn and understand that a 5-year-old does not learn the same way an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, or an 18-year-old does. And so we really have to be intentional, play-based learning, off on your feet, running around, having fun, and engaging them. Because if you lose them when they're 5, how the heck are you going to get them to graduate college? Excuse my language there, Vicki. Heck, So I get passionate about some of this.
So Jessica, if you could travel back in time and you could talk to Jessica on the first day, what would you say to her?
I have a mantra now that I use no matter what I do, and it's listen, learn, lead. And my first day, I led, but I didn't have the listening and the learning involved. I didn't talk to teachers to find out what they were passionate about. And some of those kindergarten teachers had been teaching since 1978.
Wow.
That was a lot of rich history that I just zoomed by because I thought I was equipped without any of that. I didn't spend time learning the research behind it, spending time with Ray Pica, Heidi Veal, the ECE chat crew. I mean, NAESC, it's all these other resources I just didn't even think about. I thought, well, I've got this license and this credential, let's go for it. And so I really think just stepping back and as a leader, a prospective leader in the classroom, even just slowing down, listening to the students, listening to your families, learning about them, and then making decisions really would have saved a lot of heartache and built a stronger culture earlier on in my career.
Yeah. So now you've been doing this for how long?
6 years.
6 years, and you've already won Minnesota Principal of the Year, huh?
I did. Yeah, I'm definitely a very passionate, hardworking leader that's just felt called to really bring a message forward. And it's wonderful to be in a venue, even at ISTE, where I'm seeing so many strong female leaders talking about the work that they're doing. And to be called to be able to do this has just been an unbelievable blessing. I just continue to pinch myself thinking, what is going to happen?
So Jessica, think about the kindergartners right now who are in schools that break your heart. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is it about those schools that break your heart?
Desks and rows, worksheets, technology that's plugged in on a desktop in a corner, and it's web-based games that don't have an interactive component to it. Teachers that are so stressed and overwhelmed with the social emotional care of their students that they're losing self-care for themselves and losing the love of the profession. Those are the things that I lose sleep about at night. And those are why I love to champion early learning and supporting educators in this work, because they don't get enough of that.
Okay. So that honestly, I like my show to be upbeat. That's a downer. That's upsetting.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're excited.
I'm a dance party.
What are the things that these teachers can do because you become like those you hang around?
Absolutely.
You do. I mean, there are times in some people's careers who they made great friends for 10 years. And I'm not saying I drop my friends like an old shoe, but there are times that some people go so negative that I have to say, you know what, I'm going to be careful. I'm not going to hang around them at break anymore because I just can't do it. So where can people go to immerse themselves in the exciting kinder chat possibilities that they can have?
Absolutely. I think it's really important to find that tribe. And if you're connected on social media, I know the ECE chat is something that we're really passionate about. And I've been a part of that for a year and a half. And I really enjoy that. Hashtag
so ECE stands for?
Early Childhood Educator Chat. Tuesday nights, 8:30 Central Standard Time during the school year. It's just been a really powerful group of educators that get together and have different topics, and we share themes out throughout the week. And I think too, just even outside of that social media, unplugging is important. What are your passions outside of your job? Is it walking? Is it reading? Is it having a cup of coffee with a friend? Try to find time within your week to do some of those things and fill yourself back up so you're able to go back into the classroom and still have that passion that you have today that you did when you started.
Oh, we could talk so much because I think we're speaking the same language and I'm just getting more and more hyper. So the book is Hacking Early Learning by Jessica Cabeen. So do you have a message for teachers and principals in early childhood?
Absolutely. And I think, Vicki, you've met my mission is my son. He started kindergarten when I was the principal and he had been in the country for 6 months. And we could have lowered a bar for him because he was new to country. He didn't have exposure to language. He didn't do all these things. But absolutely, as a parent and an advocate for all students, we have to have high expectations and no excuses. We have to continue to drive and thrive and work really hard when they're young to keep them inspired and engaged, so then they're going to become the future leaders, and we want them to be happy. And I think it's just so important that we have those high expectations. I can't say that enough because it's just so important. Regardless of what they come in the door with, we have the ultimate responsibility to make sure when they leave, they're equipped for the next grade level or their futures.
And we can have high expectations without having them be unrealistic.
Absolutely. And developmentally appropriate.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Jessica has given us so much to think about. You're definitely, all my early childhood folks and kindergarten teachers, you're definitely going to want to follow what she's been doing with Hacking Early Learning. Teachers, I just want to say that if you feel like you're at a school that breaks your heart, where's it going to start? And it's got to start with somebody. So why doesn't it start with you? Do that, because these kids cannot wait and they are important. They are worth it. And sometimes, very often, especially when it has to do with our children, it's worth rattling the cages a little bit. It's worth rattling people's mindsets a bit and opening those doors and making a difference.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.